Hey, what's going on? Welcome to your 29th tutorial, guys. Against me, Travis, with my bring back. What we're going to do is we're still going to work with this surface view, and we're going to kind of define it a little bit more before we get into the drawing, because we want our thread to run, we want it to shut off, and all that good stuff. Kind of explain some of these methods, what they do, all of that. So the first thing that we want our view to have, again, this is our surface view that we extended a subclass of our surface view example class up here. So that's basically what we're going to be working in on this tutorial. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a thread, because again we need a thread once we create an object of this class. So we're just going to call this thread T, or whatever you guys want to call it, maybe our thread or something like that. We also want a surface holder. Now a surface holder allows us to change the dimensions of our view, kind of how many pixels we want it to be, a lot of different things that basically again it just applies to our surface view, and we'll just call this holder. I know that's a terrible explanation, but you'll kind of see what this can do. Basically this is a way for us to manage this class and what it can do. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to set up a Boolean value, and we're going to call this is it okay, something like that. No, not question mark, it's getting too late, but we're just going to call this is it okay, and we're actually going to set this initially to be false. We're also going to set our thread to be null to start out with. So there we go. Pretty much all these things are, doing nothing at the moment. Again, we just kind of set up everything, and now let me kind of explain what's going to go on. And now we're just going to use some of these, and you'll kind of see why we set these up. So first, let's go into our onPause method right here. What our onPause method is going to do is it's going to say is our Boolean value, is it okay, or whatever you guys labeled that as. We're just going to set that equal to false. And gotta get my spelling right. So that's just going to trigger it to false, but if we hit the on resume, we're just going to say is it okay is equal to true. And the reason we're going to do this is within our run method, we're going to check is it okay, is that set to true or is that set to false. And if it's set to true, we're going to be able to draw onto our canvas and all that stuff. So I know it's kind of confusing, the layout that we're doing right now, but hopefully you guys will understand what we're setting up here. So we're going to say if is it okay is equal to be true. Again, then we're going to perform some actions in here. But again, let's just finish up our onPause, or I'm sorry, let's finish up our pause method and our resume method of our thread class called our view. So just within the onResume method, we're just going to set our is it okay to be true. So then it's going to call this resume method before a run method. So that way everything's set up properly and doesn't try to run before it's ready to. And then after we do that, we're going to create a thread. So we're going to say our thread that we set up here to be null, we're going to set this equal to be a new thread. And we're going to pass in this. And then we're just going to start that thread. So we're just going to say t.start. Because again, it's a thread object, we can use this method called start, or that method that we can use called run. Actually, I think we use start on the splash screen as well. So that's kind of an old method that we've used, but that's just going to start our thread after we set up what this new thread is. And again, why we say this here is because we have this run method, because again we implemented the runnable. So it's going to use the run method of this. So the last time I think we did like new runnable or new something within our our thread class here. But this time we're just going to say, hey, we already have a run method, so use that. And it's going to be like, okay, looking through this class, where's the run method? And it's like, oh, it's right here. Okay, we're cool. And that's what's going on. That's why we say this. It's not really the context. It's just saying, hey, I'm looking for a run method. Where is it located? And we're like, it's located right here. It's it's right there. So basically that's what's happening. And we have a resume method set up. Now what we want our pause method to do is if we have a thread running or it's started already, but we want to end that thread or we want to have it finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to say while true. So this is going to be an infinite loop until we break out of this loop. So we're going to say while this is true, while true is true, basically, we're going to do whatever is in here. So what we're going to try and set up is we're going to end our thread, and once it's ended, then we break out of this infinite loop while true. So make sure you guys don't run it when it's in this loop here. But we're just going to say try because again, it's kind of sketchy. Trying to close out a thread, it doesn't always work. So we're just going to say our thread, and we're just going to say dot join. As you can see over here, the join, what that does is it blocks the current thread until the receiver finishes its execution and dies. So just think of it, we're just cleaning up or finishing things, stuff like that. So we're just going to call this join onto our thread that has been running once we hit the pause. Again, this pause method gets called when our activity hits the on pause method that we set up above. But that's basically all we need to do, and then we're just going to say we're going to catch some exceptions because there could possibly be an interrupted exception of some sort. So we're just going to say interrupted exception. I'm going to call this E, kind of standard there, and then we're just going to print that to the stack trace. And again, we haven't got into the debugging and what this print to stack trace is yet. We'll probably get to that down the road here. And then all we're going to do is hit break. And we're just going to hit break, and we're going to set t equal to be null again. So again, all we're doing here is we have a is it okay variable. And that's going to be set to true or false. Initially it's set to false until it hits the resume method. Then we can call this run method, which we do right here again within our resume method. We call this start here. Then it's going to go up to this run method, and it's going to be like, hey, just double checking, is everything okay, is it true, like it's supposed to be, since we went through the resume method and we're like, yeah, it's cool. So this is where we're going to do our drawing and all that stuff. And then when we pause, all we're going to do is we're going to finish off our thread, and then we're just going to set it equal to null. And the last thing we want to do is we want to set up this surface holder to basically get the appropriate holder. Again, I haven't really explained the surface holder. We haven't really used it. All we're going to do is we're going to say holder is equal to a method called getHolder within our constructor. Again, our constructor is going to be called when we set up a new, up here we say new rView. This passes in the context. Then that's going to call this rView constructor where we set up our holder, and it's just going to get the appropriate holder we need to deal with. And we use this method getHolder to do that. So that's basically again just setting up this surface view type activity. I know it's kind of lengthy, and it's still not working. We still aren't doing anything fun. It's not as easy as the view, but this is the proper way that you want to do it because you're working with a better thread. You can control that thread. So this is just basically the layout of setting up a good thread, and then we're going to get into the drawing on the canvas and that stuff probably in the next tutorial. But hopefully this wasn't too confusing, guys. But again, I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial, and have a good one.